Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making cinnamon roll donuts, and these are the ingredients that we're going to be using for the dough: bread flour, yeast, eggs, milk or half and half, unsalted butter, and salt. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm adding about 3/4 of a cup of half and half, and I did cut that with a little bit of milk. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm just going to mix that together. You can use any kind of milk that you want. It can be whole milk, half milk, buttermilk, any kind of milk. There I'm adding a half teaspoon of salt, and I'm also going to add 1 egg. And I'm just mixing that up together. And now I'm going to add 2 cups of flour. I'm going to add my platinum yeast. I love this baking yeast because it has enhancers in it, and it really just helps the dough get really fluffy and a nice even rise. I really enjoy using it over regular yeast. Now I have that all together, and I'm going to take it over to my bread machine. And as you can see, I do use my bread machine to mix all of my dough. And I've had this bread machine for about 16 years now, so you can use any bread machine, and it should have a dough setting on it, and that's what I use. And all it's going to do is just going to mix the dough up for me, as you can see here. You can also do this in your KitchenAid or by hand if you want, but I just like doing this because it frees me up to do other things. And you can see it's making a nice smooth ball here, and this is exactly what you want. The hydration level is kind of high on these because we are deep frying them, and as you can see, it has doubled in size and it's ready to be rolled out. For the filling, I'm going to be using this Baker's Cinnamon Filling Mix from King Arthur. I will leave a link in the description box below. I do like using this over just using regular cinnamon and sugar because that has a tendency to run out when you deep fry. And this has an ingredient, it's called clear gel. And the clear gel helps bind the sugar and the liquid together so that it does not spill out when you deep fry. Now, this is not something that's sold in stores. You have to buy it online, either from Amazon or from King Arthur. And if you don't want to do that, I also have a recipe where you can make this on your own in bulk and keep it on hand for cinnamon rolls and donuts and other recipes like this. So I will leave that recipe in the description box, but if you want me to show you how to make it, I can do that as well. Just leave a request and I'll get to it. And now I am rolling out my dough. As you can see, it stretches and it does not snap back, and that is due to the enhancers that's in the yeast. It helps the dough stay rolled out so that you don't have to worry about it snapping back as you're trying to roll it out. It stays put. I really love that. And now I'm taking my cinnamon schmear and I am putting that all over the dough in a nice even layer. And as you can see, I'm just spreading it out to the ends in a very thin layer because you are going to be rolling it up, so you don't need to really pile it on. And this schmear is not going anywhere. When you deep fry it, it will stay put and you don't have to worry about it spilling out. I love this stuff. And I'm sorry I didn't get a better view of this, but as you can see, I'm just rolling it up. Rather not too tight, but not loose either. And you want to roll it all the way up and leave some clear space without any schmear around the seams so that you can pinch them together. This has a high hydration level, as I mentioned before, so you won't need to add any water, But if for whatever reason your dough comes out a bit too dry, just add some water before pinching the seams. And you want to pinch these seams very, very tightly because you don't want to get grease inside of your roll when you deep fry them. So as you can see, I'm pinching the heck out of this and then rolling it just to make sure that it all stays into place. Here I am using dental floss to cut my rolls. This is my preferred method. You can use a serrated knife or a very sharp knife, but I do prefer using dental floss for this particular task. Okay, and now I'm just putting them on the baking sheet that's lined with parchment paper at about 2 inches apart. And then those are going to go into the oven on warm, and they're going to rise for about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. And here I'm making the icing, and I have 3 cups of powdered sugar and a half a teaspoon of salt. And in the glass cup, I'm adding a half a teaspoon of agar powder. It's like a gelatin, it's vegan, I believe, and it just gives the icing a kind of crackly consistency that you would see on regular glazed donuts, and I really like that. And I've added to that 2 cups of hot boiling water, and now I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar to that as well. And then I'm going to pop that in the microwave just to make sure that it really dissolves, and I'm going to microwave that for 1 to 2 minutes until it's boiling. Then I'm going to take that mixture and I'm going to pour about a cup total, maybe a little bit less depending on your consistency, into the bowl. I like mine really loose. I don't like a thick glaze. So I just add it until I get the consistency that I want. And it's going to be thick, and then just keep going, and you want to make sure that there's no lumps and no bumps in your icing. You want it really smooth, and I don't know why I keep calling it icing, it's glaze. So just keep working at it with your whisk until it's smooth. And now I'm essentially going to use my griddle as a double broiler. And if you don't know, a double broiler is where you take a hot pot of hot boiling water and you put your bowl over it to keep whatever's in the bowl hot. And you want to do this because you don't want your icing to glaze over and to get hard. You want to keep it nice and liquidy. So yeah, I use my griddle as a double broiler. It's just easier. And now I'm adding my donuts right out of the oven from proofing into the fryer. And you do want to proof these uncovered. You want them to kind of dry out a little bit so that they don't absorb too much oil. I'm not sure where that footage went, but yeah, you want to pop them in the oven uncovered and let them rise for about 30 minutes. And here I'm deep frying them, excuse me, I'm deep frying them at 375. And I'm using the end of a wooden spoon just to kind of move them around. You can fit, you don't want them to be overcrowded, but you can fit quite a few in there and they'll cook evenly. They'll cook just fine. As you can see, they're not completely absorbed or submerged, I should say, in the oil. And you want to cook them about 30 seconds on each side. And you don't want to walk away when you're making these donuts because they turn brown pretty fast. And you don't want to overcook them or burn them or anything. You want them nice and golden brown, just like this. So just put them in and stay put, and they will be out in less than a minute. And I like to drain them to get all the oil out because that oil is hot and you don't want that getting all over your fingers when you go to glaze your donuts. And I'm putting in another batch here. And you can see they're really fluffy, and they had a nice rise in the oven for about 30 minutes, and that's exactly how you want them to look. And you can also see that the filling isn't spilling out, which is essential. You don't want to lose all of your filling. You want that filling in there, or else you wouldn't have cinnamon roll donuts. Why even go through the trouble? By the way, this makes an excellent regular donut dough if you want to use it for that. I do it all the time. Taking my icing off of the double broiler, and now I'm mixing it up, and as you can see, it's still the same liquid consistency, which is exactly what you want. I like to go in and do both sides. The first time we do dunk these twice. I do, both sides to make sure that the icing gets in between the layers of dough. And you want to do these while the donuts are still very hot. You not, right out of the fryer, but maybe a minute or two later you want to start dunking your donuts. And here I'm going in a second time, and I'm just doing the tops. You want a nice thick glaze on top. And we are all finished, and this is the finished product, cinnamon roll donuts with a nice vanilla glaze. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please let me know what you'd like for me to make. I am very skilled at both baking and cooking, so if you have any specific requests, please comment and let me know. Thanks for watching my channel. Have a good day.